Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome to another live show. Welcome to a new set. We're back here.
Yeah, like we said, if they get bored of us, at least the set changes.
No, well done to production because they're shuffling a lot of stuff around. As I've always said on these previous shows, still a lot of stuff coming here on AFTV, despite obviously all the focus on the World Cup content. This is a bit close. I'm just going to move this out of the way so it's kind of less in shot. How are you?
I'm all good, man. You?
Yeah, all right. I mean, the World Cup. Well, how have you made? What do you think of the World Cup so far? One game to go in terms of the first round of group stage games. No doubt we've had our upsets. We've had our fair share of twists and turns and drama. Yet it's not really come to life fully.
Yeah, I don't think it is going to come to life fully because of where it is in the middle of the season and the winter period.
Do you think that's the reason, or the lack of prep before, or is that one and the same?
When international tournaments come about, I like that it tends to be, well, not tends to be, it's in the summer months over here in the UK. So it becomes more of a spectacle. You link up with your friends and family and you go to, whether you watch at outdoor bars or here, there, and you make a weekend of it, you make a day of it. There's football coming thick and fast. Just this one during the winter period, coming up to the Christmas holiday period. And I just think that it's just been kind of stuck in here. And listen, in terms of football, it kicked off with Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. Then you have Japan beating Germany. Even today's game that I was just on, Portugal 3, Ghana 2. This is what the World Cup's about. Yeah. But it just doesn't. It hasn't felt like a World Cup for me.
On that game, I didn't think Portugal looked particularly convincing, but they got the win.
No, they got quality though, innit? I mean, when you got quality and you put Felix through one-on-one, he's a finisher, he dinks it over. You got Leao.
What did you say? Literally yesterday?
Yeah.
Or literally 2 days ago? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. But yeah, I mean, he was anonymous for the majority of the game until that chance, and he buries it, and then he plays a part in their third goal as well. So Felix is a player I admire. But in terms of overall Portugal, they got the quality. Do they have the chemistry? Do they have the consistency? Do they have the grit? Because Ghana should have made it 3-3 in the last few seconds. If Inaki Williams didn't slip, he would have made it 3-3. And you know, Ghana would have definitely taken a point. Portugal, not so much. So it's still all to play for. That's probably the toughest group for me. Portugal, Ghana, South Korea and Uruguay. It's hard to really tell what's what.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And actually, Portugal would have needed that. What with the two splitting the points earlier. 100%. So Rafa Leao's class player. When we did that video, the two of us with Cecil and Robbie on players around Europe that we would love to see at Arsenal. Rafa Leao was one we mentioned, and even back then we said he might be destined for. You know, we talked about maybe greater things, which is kind of sad to say. But with the way things are going this year, and exactly the conversation we had about Jude Bellingham, that was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Now a Rafa Leao maybe in the summer feels like a legitimate target.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends who's in for him and who we have to compete against. Of course, you know, if Manchester City
let them fight out for Mbappe and we'll sneak in.
Well, you'd hope so. But he is, you know, with Bellingham, I dismissed that. I don't think he's attainable for us. But with a Leao, like I said, depending on who's in for him, where Arsenal are at the moment, and hopefully where we finish come into the season, we'll be in a strong position to go for a player like him or players like that. Because there's a few players that over the years we've looked at and said, yeah, he ain't going to come to Arsenal. But, you know, this season, if we manage to get the great start over the line, and whether we win a league or challenge for the league, get back into Champions League, it puts us in a very different situation. Outside looking in, as Arsenal as a football club, very different to 2 years ago. Yeah,
I agree. Cheryl says, first time I saw Felix, Turkish, you are right. He can finish well. It was a lovely finish.
Beautiful, yeah.
They'll be so disappointed about that second and third goal they conceded. I mean, the third they'll be disappointed, but that's more refereeing. And I'll ask you about that in a sec. Comments, let me know in the comment section if you thought that was a pen or not. The second and third one, though, I think just feel like just errors where you're caught, you know, or you should intercept and you don't.
Or even the first goal, you know, Ronaldo made the most of it. That's not a penalty for me.
It's not a penalty for me.
That's where football's gone. You know, VAR, they favour, you know, well, not favour, but VAR look at, did he get to the ball first? And that's the be-all and end-all. But what happens when it's a 50-50 and it's a shoulder-to-shoulder and, you know, your shoulder's getting nowhere near the ball, but you move the player out of the way? Is it still deemed a penalty? No, but when it's your foot and it's a millimetre off it, and really, you look at Ronaldo's reaction to that, he went straight to the ground. It plays into the hands of divers and what some may say cheats and whatnot, but that's what VAR has done. I actually admire the referee for not giving that Ghanaian player Saidu a red card because That's not a headbutt for me.
That was like the Pepe, the lean.
In fact, I'd promote more of that. That shows passion. That shows desire. I'm not saying headbutting. What I'm saying, a face-to-face confrontation is something I grew up on in football. It can help swing a game. It can help give life to a game. You can't be calling them red cards. You know, Felix might think twice about going down next time that happens, similar to Alioski when he went down with Pepe. Yep. But, you know, Pepe gets a red card.
We saw it with the Cancelo one. I know Cancelo was caught, in fairness, but what you guys were watching without commentary, and we had it on, you could hear the scream. Like, and it's just like, listen, I know all players do it, don't get me wrong, and they're trying to get those little advantages. And if it makes the ref give a yellow where before he might have just given a foul, you know, that's why they're doing it. But yeah, it was kind of a little bit frustrating with the penalty decision. You know, I'm kind of with you because I don't want to be a hypocrite. You know, on the whole contact thing, you know, basically trying to deem whether there's enough contact. My thing has always been, well, don't give the referee a decision to make. So the example I always go back to, and it really annoys Arsenal fans, I understand why, is the Cedric one with Son when we lost 3-0 at their place in the last season. People might say it's soft, and I hear all that, but I always felt Cedric never really did enough to look like it, to make it look like it was an honest attempt to win the ball. But anyway, we won't go back into that because I know people disagree. But with this one, I thought, what can the player possibly do? What you're basically saying to, was it Salisu?
Yeah.
What they're basically saying is, you can't get tight to a man in the penalty area. Box, because if you make contact but you haven't won the ball, but it is a contact sport. Like it's
meant to be.
It's not about. You are allowed to use your body to gain an advantage, and you know, you are allowed to use strength. You are allowed to lean a little bit. You are allowed to show your strength. And anywhere else on the pitch, I'm not really sure that's given.
You know, again, because I've watched that Ronaldo documentary. I watched it again last night. I've watched it 3.5 times since it's come out.
R9.
That R9 goal for Barcelona, the classic one, you know what I'm talking about, right? The one where he picks it up just in his own half and he runs past about 4 players and then buries it. Well, if you haven't seen it...
Who does he score against?
Who was it against? I forgot who it was against. But if you search Ronaldo best Barcelona goal, you'll see it. And I'm sure a lot of the chat know. If you don't know, then search Ronaldo's best Barca goal. You see that goal, he gets his shirt pulled. He gets knocked from one angle. He gets knocked from the other. Gone are the days of players riding tackles. Because now it's promoted to go down as soon as you feel something. Because you can either get the player sent off or you can get, you know, your team a free kick in a good position, a penalty. But I think that's taken some of the excitement out of the game, in my honest opinion. You want players to be able to ride tackles and you want them to, you know, have that rough edge. Now it's just, I don't know what it is. It's the commercial aspect, I guess, the PG way they want to play it. Or this one here, like in the modern day, we'll re-watching the Ronaldo goal here.
Yeah, I see that.
He's going down. Cool. The modern day player goes down there, for example, just before what you saw there. There's a pull in his teeth there as well, potentially. A couple moments where modern day football, a player's going to take that shirt pull and go down, make the most of it. Look there, I mean, I want players to be able to ride tackles, and I want defenders to be able to actually use their physicality. I know it's playing at the back now, and defenders have got to be good on the ball, and I get that. That's good. That's helped aid the game in terms of football. There's not so much long balls from the goalkeepers no more. It's about football, keeping it on the ground. But they've taken out that edge from it.
Thing is, I've also been on these live shows not very long ago talking about protecting Bukayo Saka more, but there is that fine line between I want players like Saka, when they're quite clearly fouled and hurt, to not have to receive 3 of those before a player is booked, a defender is booked. But at the same time, I'm kind of with you. I want there to be a little bit more, I want the threshold for a penalty to be a little bit higher. I don't want it to be, well, was there contact? Well, was there... Do you remember the one where something ridiculous like Bruno Fernandes like backheeled Tyrone Mings or something, or was it Esri Konsa? This was back in lockdown, and then he went down and he gave a penalty to United. I thought, if anything, it's a foul for Villa, and like the thresh, because they're so intent on finding, you know, the contact and you know any little thing that they can use. But it's the same with the goal. They're looking for anything they can do to disallow a goal. I think the threshold for these things has to be a little bit higher. You know, when you're going to make a decision that impacts the natural flow of a game, I think you've got to be a little bit more. The bar has to be higher for what you're actually going to stop. 100%. That makes sense. The Odegaard one at Old Trafford, like again, I can kind of see why it's given. Again, every time I say stuff, I feel like I'm going against what like. So you know, in the World Cup now we're seeing penalties be given for pulls and stuff. I'm happy they're doing that, but I find the Odegaard one and at Old Trafford soft. So I feel like I'm contradicting myself. I feel like I'm being a hypocrite by saying that I want them. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think now we've seen football. We've seen enough football without VAR. And we've seen enough football with VAR now. I much prefer football without VAR. And it's not just VAR, I mean. It's the whole mindset that comes along with VAR. It's if you see his toe just ahead of the defender, it's offside. If you see a pull on the shirt, it must be a foul. No. It's a contact sport. You know, I want defenders to okay, I don't play at a high level, but Saturday League, Sunday League, you know, that was part of the game. You know, when you've got a corner and you're in the box as a striker or as an attacker, you know defenders are going to be all over you. It's part of the game to lose them, or it's part of the game to be as physical as them and challenge. And now that's been taken out. I much prefer football when there was that physical aspect, when there was that edginess to it, when there was a bit of robustness to the challenges and so on. I feel like it's just been diluted so much now that penalties like the one today for Ronaldo and Portugal, we've seen given before, and we're going to see given much more moving forward.
What do you think of the pulls that they're starting to give more at the World Cup?
Obviously, there's, you know...
the ones they've given, I've not disagreed with.
If there's distance between the two players and there's a shirt pull like that, he's trying to stop him, and that's a foul. But if there's two defenders and there's defenders on him like this, that's not necessarily a foul for me. The defender, yes, his hands are on him, but a lot of the time the defenders are just, you know, it's just a soft hand on to feel him out.
What if
know which way he's gonna go?
Yeah.
And then cool, then you can determine a foul off the back of that. But I don't think having a hand on someone is a foul.
What if he's trying to? Because this is.
Sorry, I know I just grabbed you without off HR.
It's all right. You know when you know, okay. You know those examples I gave, the pulls in the penalty area and the Odegaard one, and I'm trying to think what are the differences, apart from I'm an Arsenal fan, so I want one to go my way. Sometimes I think you can look at individual situations, and the referee or us as viewers can actually have a very good guess at whether said person who was fouled could have got out of that situation or went down too easily, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So on the Ronaldo one today, was there contact? Yes, I suppose technically, but there's no way that contact has brought him down, in my opinion. And with the Odegaard one, I think it was on Eriksen in midfield or whatever it was. I didn't feel like the contact brought him down. I felt like Eriksen realised he was losing the ball and so went down with the contact. You could say it's very clever from Eriksen. So
you got to look at where the ball's going as well. Ronaldo's touch was taking him away from goal, out of the box. Yeah. It's not like his touch was taking him into the box towards goal. And them things matter too. But it's just all foul, and soft.
Comment section, help me clear my mind here, because I'm really struggling to know what I actually want from this. What have we got? Modern football, too easy to get a penalty, too easy to get a red card, says Ant. What's that? Can't believe Gamara's isn't starting. That's relating to the Brazil game. We'll chat about that in a sec. When you're in a penalty area, every little contact matters because it affects how and when and where you can hit and score and assist. I think defenders should be mindful in those instances. I think, I hope I pronounced this right, Aderaju. I think he makes a good point in that actually, in and around the penalty area, that contact matters a little bit more because you're closer to goal. So I guess that's a fair point. But
you don't get legends like Adams. You don't get legends like Puyol, you don't get legends like Maldini, you don't get legends like who else is legendary centre backs over the years. You don't get these legendary you don't get these legendary centre backs if football now was always the case throughout history. Yeah. Them defenders, a big part of why they're legends is because they was physical, they was imposing, you know, they wasn't giving you a sniff. So I'm sorry, I disagree with that. Yes, of course, if you delve into it, yes, obviously having a hand on a man can stop him going a certain way, but how much advantage do you want to give the attackers? With offsides, give the advantage to the attackers. With, you know, pulls and hands on the ball, give the advantage to the attackers. It's just like, come on, the defenders need something as well, because yes, playing at the back is important. Yes, it's been good for football to a certain extent. But I look at defenders now. Who are the top 3 centre-backs in world football now?
What question?
It's a good question because it's more a good question because there's a lack of them than there is an abundance of them.
Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White.
Well, that's your Arsenal side coming out. You compare the best three centre-backs now to the best three centre-backs 20 years ago. The best three centre-backs 20 years ago shit all over the ones now.
You go back 10 years. You go back 10 years ago.
You could.
And the conversations were around Puyol and...
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 10 years.
But this has also affected attackers as well. Because if I say to you, who's the best three strikers now? You might mention Benzema and Lewandowski, two old heads. But who's the best three striker now? Compare them to the best three back in the day. They're worse. Why? Because now you don't get the chance to ride challenges. You know, you're influenced to go down a lot more and get the opposition yellows and reds and penalties and this and that. In my opinion, the softness, commercial aspect that's come into football has ruined it. Football now is not comparable to football then, and that is a big part of it.
Always love seeing Aston in the comments. Hope you're doing well, Aston. He says, are games better now or were they back then? Do you prefer to watch... So which do you prefer to watch? It's not an either or. We want the best elements of both. But what are your thoughts? Well, from just an officiating perspective, I guess you could argue there's more drama now.
Yeah, but it's the wrong type of drama. I'd rather see groups of players square up to each other. I'd rather see a Keown elbow on Van Nistelrooy's neck than I would players surrounding the ref asking them to go watch the screen and this and that. I love that. That tunnel moment with Vieira and Keane and Gary Neville. You're not getting none of this no more. And part of that is how soft it's gone, how happy football's gone.
Yeah, Dave Jordan makes a great point. He said defenders are now way better. It's harder to defend now. You have to defend with 60 yards of space behind you, not just the edge of your box. Everyone is a good box defender now. I don't agree with the first sentence, which is defenders are way better. But does he make a good point about it being hard to defend?
Maldini's better than any centre-back right now. Puyol is better than any centre-back right now. Tony Adams is better than any centre-back right now.
There's a good point about the defending with loads of space behind and high up the pitch. Do you know who's a good example that I think Dave maybe not disproves your point?
Nesta.
It's an opinion.
Better
but
than any centre-back now, sorry.
We saw Italy win the Euros last year with a very high line, playing very progressive football, lots of possession, high press, and it was Bonucci and Chiellini.
And they're old school types of defenders.
That's exactly my point. Now, they're always great on the ball, always good on the ball, but they're not rapid. Yes,
the balance.
They're quick-ish, but their experience, their ability to defend kind of covers. So I get what Dave's saying.
Technically, of course, they're a lot better now, technically. But do you prefer technical defenders or do you prefer, what's the word for it? It's not just robust.
Defensive defenders.
You just want that gritty, I don't know the word for it, but you know what I mean out there. It's just what do you prefer? I prefer my attackers to be technical, my midfielders to be technical, yes. But they had, the midfielders and attackers of 20 years ago had a lot of technical, aggressive, 100%. The aggressiveness has gone from defending now because obviously you have to be so wary. So Dave's right in a sense. The limitations that defenders have now in terms of the advantage is always to the attacker, minimal touch penalty, minimal touch red card, yellow card. I get it. So it's harder, technically it's harder mentally, but it's not harder physically, that is for sure. And when you think about the amount of sports science that's coming into football, how has the physicality gone wayward when sports science has gone and nutrition and health and all that has gone the other way? No, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Do you think Gabriel's a little bit of that old school defender?
He's got a bit of old school in him, yeah.
Yeah, I think he shines when it's backs against the wall stuff. You've got to get us through this. I think that's when we've seen the best of Gabriel. And actually, Saliba's looked better when we're on the front foot.
And someone said Turkish wants more drama, not better football. Football was better back in the day. 100. There's no doubt about it. Again, if I compare the best three centre backs now to the best three centre backs then, compare the best three goalkeepers now to the best three goalkeepers then, compare the best three midfielders now to the best three midfielders then, and the best three strike, whatever position. The old school era shits all over the new school era.
But you know what I'd love to see? I want to be careful how I phrase this, because I'm not for 1 second saying the Invincibles aren't, good compared to this era or whatever. I'm obviously not saying that. But I'd love to see, because sports science has come so far, because coaching has come so far, because everything in the game, really from a scientific perspective, has advanced so much. Mm-hmm. I'd love to know I'd love to see the contrast. Like, with the Invincibles we dropped into this season, and be the best team in the league? I think so, personally, because there was so much individual quality.
There's chemistry there as well, not just individual.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But you know what I mean? Like how, like when, what era and what year are the best players of that year now of a standard that wouldn't cut it in this era?
So let's have
is there no difference?
Let's have a little wondering with the chat as well. Who's your? Let's do it. Who's the 3 top goalkeepers now?
Courtois.
Okay.
Edison and Alisson.
Okay, off the top of my head, and this is not my top 3. I'm just doing off the top of my head. Schmeichel, Oliver Kahn, and Buffon. Which 3 are better?
I'm inclined to say your 3.
Inclined, it is actually okay.
But I didn't watch that much.
If you want a goalkeeper that plays good with his feet, okay, then we have a conversation. Yeah. Okay, top 3 centre backs.
Do you want to be a goalkeeper who plays in midfield?
Obviously, them days it's not happening. Top 3 centre backs now.
Maybe Noah should have been in there. Top 3 centre backs now. I feel like I can't say Van Dijk anymore, but
I think I'd probably include him because the levels are so scarce.
I mean, okay, Van Dijk. Help me, chat. Help me. Is Thiago Silva? Is it Saliba? Saliba feels too early to say top 3.
Yeah, way too early.
Canate, superb. Diaz, Laporte.
Diaz, you might put there, but again, all them names you mentioned.
Militao.
Puyol shits on all of them.
Militao.
Maldini, Nesta shits on all of them.
No, I get your point. Listen, I get your point.
Should we do midfielders now? Verratti is classed as a top 3 midfielder in the world.
Ramos, people are saying.
Ramos comes from the old school though, and that's what makes Ramos, the old school essence to him. Let's do midfielders now. Who's the top 3 midfielders?
De Bruyne.
De Bruyne, good shout. Yep.
De Bruyne. Who else joins De Bruyne?
Zidane shits on De Bruyne, just to throw it out there.
I mean, I'd say Rodri's one of them, but
Rodri, that's cool. Okay. Pirlo shits on Rodri, another one.
Busquets. Not steady walk.
Not bad. Not a bad shout.
Modric, of course. I'm trying to go through all the teams.
Not a bad shout.
Guys, help me. William Carvalho. Yeah, Kimmich, people are saying. Don't know about Cruz anymore, but
Zidane, Pirlo, Vieira, let's just say. And that's, again, off the top of my head. There's definitely more midfielders there. Again, attackers. Ronaldo, real Ronaldo. Thierry Henry and Gabriel Batistuta.
Who
is it now?
Martin says you can't pick old school players from multiple eras to compare versus current.
No, but it's not really multiple eras. All of them played around the same era. Pirlo, Zidane played the same era. Kahn, Buffon, Schmeichel was around the same era. R9, Henry, Batistuta around the same era. And really, that we're talking about an era that didn't have this flakiness to it, the softness to it. So really, there's that era, the not soft era, and there's this era, the soft era. And the not soft era, the players were so much better. There was an abundance of quality. It's hard to pick a top 3, a top 5. There were so many good players. Now, it's hard to pick because there's very few.
The forwards is a good question. I'd still put Messi in there. Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
Fair, but honestly, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, I'm taking Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, Batistuta.
It's a good one. Who?
But Messi is the kind of...
Yeah, I was going to say.
Messi is the one that it kind of makes it hard because he is so fucking good. Yeah. And Messi is a player that came up in the... Look how many goals...
No, he was playing with Puyol.
How many goals have you seen Messi shrug off defenders, bounce off a defender? Now... Players won't do that because it's go down, roll around a bit, get the free kick.
I do think the nature of wanting to buy free kicks and get the opposition booked and get go down when you are fouled. I do think that is denying us moments where players might ride the challenge, then get past 2 or 3, and suddenly the game opens up and it all goes a bit crazy. That's kind of why I love Saka. I feel like he tries to drive through these. So does Martinelli.
Wingers, I'd give to the new era. Because Mbappe, is he a striker or is he more a winger? So with the wingers, like obviously you have an Mbappe and you have a Salah wingers back in the day didn't get 20, 30 goals a season. So that's probably one position that this top 3 is better than that top 3. Because as much as I admire Perez and love Perez and the goals he brought, Salah's brought so many more goals and Mbappe's got more goals from a similar position. So,
wingers are now wide forwards.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. But I think the quality in wingers has probably gone up. But that's the only position.
So you think ultimately the level of football today isn't better than it was
Nowhere
necessarily
near.
20 years ago.
Nowhere near.
That's interesting.
And
What about coaching?
Coaching, it's
I think coaching's up. If I'm honest, I think coaching is.
But look at what
another
Fabregas
level
said
now.
recently, though.
But while I hear what Fabregas is saying, I think it's more from an aesthetics perspective, because I don't think anyone can say that Guardiola's methods, which is all about ultimate control, haven't been successful. And they've thrown everything at him. They've thrown gegenpress, they've thrown counter-attack, free-flowing, part the bus. And yes, over maybe the odd game and the odd competition, it's got the better of Pep, but largely he's had nothing but success since he started at Barcelona.
Yeah, but Pep was the beginning of the end of the old school. Keep the ball, possession, tiki-taka, and that Barcelona team is probably the greatest team the greatest club team I've ever seen, up 100%. But off the back of that, it hasn't really been replicated in terms of Barcelona had the possession, they had the tiki-taka, but then they had Messi, Henry, and Eto'o. They had Neymar, Messi, and Suarez. They had that front three that would turn that possession into excitement and goals. And then you see it at Bayern Munich, nowhere near the quality and excitement that you got from a Barcelona side. At Manchester City, it's been exciting here and there, but nowhere near that Barcelona side. It's just possession and possession and keep the ball and recycle the ball. And it's
that Barcelona side doesn't play the way this City side does. Yes, there's elements that the wingers are very wide. Yes, they pack out the midfield. Yes, they ultimately want to have possession. But there was something a lot more free-flowing and almost random in a good way. It was kind of organised chaos, which was so great to watch about Barcelona.
Yeah. And it might be nostalgia bias, as people are saying. It might be, but...
Aston disagrees. He says the technical ability of players is on a different level to before. The control of the ball and what each position demands is much higher than before.
Is there anyone in world football that's technically better than Ronaldinho right now? No one comes near to Ronaldinho.
Okay, but maybe their point is more across the board. So, like, yes, you can pick out, like, maybe you can pick out 20 players, or maybe you can even pick out 50 from an era. But I think today, this is just my 2 cents, because like, I didn't watch a lot of the era you're talking about at all, but I saw kind of from
Neymar. Oh my God, Neymar is quality, but he's not as technical as Ronaldinho. This is what I mean. You might call it nostalgia bias, but if you haven't seen Dino, and I'm not talking about highlights on YouTube, you can't really talk. Dino was technically on another. This is without me mentioning Zidane in midfield. Again, you'd struggle to find midfielders now that are as technically good as Zidane. Zidane was quite a slow midfielder. He was graceful, but he'd beat players because of his skill. So I just think technically the players were better back in the day. Even Roberto Baggio is another one.
Do you think the gap between, like, the tops, so say you took the best 200 players in the world, the gap between the top and the lowest, the worst of that 200, whatever, do you think that's closed in recent times? Because the one thing I would say is, see this Premier League now, and I've been watching the Premier League since about 06, 07. Yes, straight after the Champions League defeat. That's how miserable my life has been as an Arsenal fan.
Oh my God, people are saying Neymar's better than Ronaldinho.
We'll get on to that.
Sorry, let me just put this away, because people are saying crazy things in there.
I've never, ever seen a more competitive Premier League. And while I think you could take the great sides of pre-2006-07 and drop them in this league, and they would therefore raise their level, because they know what it takes to win a league. Let me put it this way. Do Man City win the league with 99 or 98 points if Liverpool weren't getting 97? I don't. If Liverpool were going to get 85, they might have won it on 92, 93. What I'm saying is, I think
I get you.
Standards push standards. So my question is yes, you talk about those individuals and their ability is better, in your opinion, than what we got now. But across the actual board of competition, the big leagues, the Champions League, whatever, it feels to me like it's definitely more competitive than ever before. At least in the 15, 16 years I've been watching football, it feels like I don't go into a single Premier League game going, brilliant, looking forward to this, we're going to win. I go in going, this could be a bit of a slip-up. Now I'm a bit of a nervous wreck.
Yeah, I get you. And you're right there. From top to bottom, the levels of quality all round has increased. But again, if I ask you, what has the top battles been in the Premier League since it started? What's the top battles? One would be Arsenal United. One people would include Man City Liverpool, and people might say Chelsea United.
I guess. At times, yeah.
Which one is the best out of the lot? when you look at 97-98 season to 2003-2004, United had 4 league titles, Arsenal had 3. United had a treble-winning team, Arsenal had Invincibles. So in terms of competition at the top,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point.
4-3. It's not. What is it with City, Liverpool? 5-1, or 4-1 or something. It's for me, it's not comparable. But you are right. The teams lower down have got more quality, but at the same time, Middlesbrough back in the day had Ravanelli and Janino.
Well, Dave Jordan says, let's be honest, Man City of the last 5 years will run over any Premier League team in history.
I disagree.
We are half an hour in.
If you use VAR and all that, then yeah, I'd probably lean in your favour. But if we're taking VAR and the softness out of it, then the Invincibles and a couple United teams over the years back in the day, they definitely give Man City a fight.
Juice Source agrees with me. He says the worst of the current era is better than the worst of the older era. That I do agree with. I think the worst of this era, the worst of the current is better than the worst of the year. That's what I mean. Okay. They've tightened the gap. I think we're half an hour in and we've not even touched on our lead.
It's a good conversation though. But
it's been a great. I've really enjoyed it. The one thing I'd say is, the Man City Centurions are the best Premier League team I've ever seen, and I did watch some of the, that 07 to 09 Man United team. Was it 06? Whatever it was.
What was that, Ronaldo, Tevez, Rooney?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I saw some of the Mourinho sides he put together, Matic, Fabregas, Oscar midfield, with Diego Costa up front, Conte 3-4-3 that reached 90 points.
Yeah.
Klopp's side, whatever. Even the Man City teams the last few years, even this one with Haaland, I think that Centurions team is the best Premier League team I've ever seen personally. I just felt they could blow anyone off the park. And then the best club I've ever watched at Barcelona, give it 2009 to 2012, 13. No, before MSN. I thought that MSN team, I know they won the treble and they're unbelievable.
Was that before MSN?
Yeah, MSN was 2014, 15. Yeah.
Okay, no, it feels like longer.
I'm talking David Villa, Pedro, Messi.
Yeah, that was the in between Henry, Eto'o, Messi. That was the
MSN was kind of the back end of Xavi and Rakitic came in. Yeah. I felt that Pep team was just unbelievable. Like, they were just mesmerizing. And yes, it was controlled and it was coached, but it didn't look it. It was so easy on the eye. And I just think that team, for me, you could put against anyone and I would bet them to win, even if I don't really know as much as I should about previous sides. I just thought that team, and they got the Carlos Puyols in there and Abidal and PK and
but if you put that, okay, it's all good and well saying put teams and that. If you put that, and I rate that Barca team. Yeah. I've just mentioned Barca, Pep Guardiola, Messi, probably the best team I've seen. But if you put the Barcelona team we're talking about into Premier League end of 90s, beginning of 2000s, they can't surround the ref and ask for cheap free kicks like they used to. Remember how much they used to do that? A little touch, ref, and the ref would give it. In the Premier League, them times, the ref would look at you and be like, get yourself up.
I just feel like they could just bop it about around.
Well, they bop it about with Vieira there for Arsenal, with Keane there for United. Let me see you bop it about. It's very different. It's easier to bop it about when the DMs are more technical than they are aggressive. And that's the changeover. Of course it's easier. They're protected.
I know. I mean, look, Mourinho got the better of them, and you could say he did it in a slightly more Premier League way. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, it's been fun. It's been a fun debate.
No, I'm saying that someone said they would definitely do. They would do the same to the ref, but the ref wouldn't have it. Them times the ref ain't giving soft free kicks for nothing. Very different.
Young Gunner says, off topic, but fullback is one position that has evolved so much the last decade with the more advanced roles. So big up Turkish. I love the Supporters Club and missing Forever Arsenal. Forever Arsenal will be back, as will Supporters Club this week.
Fullback's a good shout as well.
I definitely think the role of the fullback has evolved massively. Yeah. A lot of roles have. It's fascinating.
But still, there's no better left back than Ashley Cole probably right now. Cafu was a top boy, but Dani Alves, I'll give it to him in terms of whether I'm going to pick out a right back. Roberto Carlos, the other side, left back in the day.
I know it's not that long ago he's still playing, but Jordi Alba, was a class player. And I know he's still playing, and I know he's still starting and all that, but 10 years ago he was still doing his thing. So. All right, so speaking of Barcelona, should we worry about them taking Mikel Arteta? What an amazing transition. I had that completely planned. Should we be worried about it? More reports in Spain, or a report, let's say, and it's made headlines. Maybe we should change the title of this video because we've quite literally talked about different things. But I'm not worried about it. I think Arteta came in to play the long game so that he could benefit and reap the rewards of that future success. I don't think he came in thinking, let me show that I can do this long-term thing, only to tear it apart when I leave for Barcelona. What do you think?
I'm not worried. I think when the contract was given to Arteta after those, it was either after the 2 games we lost or the 3 games we lost, Brighton, Southampton, Palace, Arteta came out in a press conference and said, listen, the faith they've shown into me to give me a contract now, it even surprised him. Mm-hmm. Like I said in a previous stream, I think that goes a long way to securing someone, not only to a contract, but securing their belief that you believe in them and you're going to guide them and you're going to help them through. So I think what the Kroenkes have done is give that belief to Arteta, give that platform for Mikel Arteta, and during a couple of the most dismal periods of being an Arsenal fan, in terms of form, league position and so on, they stuck by him, gave him a new contract when it seemed like we was fucking up top 4. And I say seemed like because at that time it seemed like we threw it away after those 3 games, but then we managed to get it back and then throw it away again after Tottenham Newcastle. But that goes a long way in helping someone feel like, this is me, this is my project, this is my club. And
you know when you ever had that line or said that line or heard it in a movie, in a relationship, and they say, if you love me at my best, love me at my worst, or whatever, you apply that to supporting your club. If you love your club, you can feel how you feel, but ultimately you still turn up to the next game, even if they're in bad form. And I think a degree of that was shown to Arteta, which is no, we're standing by you either way. And I think that means a lot to people. I think when people are supported in the rough patches, then that's when you develop a bond and you develop loyalty. And it wasn't even going that badly. We just went off the rails after a few injuries and just a bit of a wobble. They showed that support, and I agree. I think there's a big one. I mean, this report says that they might even be considering. Listen to this. So, according to a new report from Sport, this comes from the Mirror via Sport. Barcelona are very aware of the impressive work Arteta has done in North London and view him as a candidate capable of managing the club in the future. The report goes on to outline that the hierarchy, led by American owner Stan Kroenke, are already pressing Arteta to extend his contract again for the long-term project, just months after finalising terms on his current deal. Now, I don't care if they give him a new contract every 2 weeks, because ultimately you can always, sounds really horrible to say, but you can always relieve someone of that contract. They don't. All they do is increase the value if someone were to come and get them. So I'm not really bothered if they were to give him a new contract again. But he did speak about this when asked, I think back when the Premier League season was, he said basically he's got massive admiration for Xavi. Then I think Barca are still all in with Xavi, if I'm honest. So I'm not particularly worried about it.
Yeah, I don't think Barcelona's a great stomping ground for managers at the moment.
Certainly
anyway.
Hasn't been recently. No.
Definitely not recently. So the best thing they can probably do is try and stick by Xavi since they made that decision. But at the end of the day, listen, even top managers are scarce these days. If we compare top managers now to top managers then, we might be having another conversation similar to what we had.
Yeah, this whole... So Xavi's been there how long? A year?
Year and a half, no? 2 years? Year and a half? Because we're halfway through this year.
Yeah.
A year and a half minimum.
I think they'll stick with him because he's a Barca legend and they'll want to make the absolute most. Yeah. But it didn't work for Pirlo at Juve. I know it's not direct comparisons, but that was another midfielder. That was a legend of the club, and they probably would want to give as much time as possible. But I think he's doing quite well in the league, but in the Champions League it's been a bit of a disaster, and that was the gamble. Was we're going to probably spend more than we should be, but we're going to hopefully reap the rewards of it. And in Euro they haven't really.
No.
It was Dave. Get rid of Arteta and get Wenger back. Football was better in the 90s, so presumably the best managers in the 90s are better than the ones now. Dave, you and Turkish were getting on, man. You were getting on. Things were good.
Sometimes he comes across smart. Sometimes he comes across very dense, to say the least. No.
Aston says, why would you go? Barca is an economic nightmare versus Arsenal are run by rich billionaires who have given you the keys. Aston, I'm with you. I don't think there's any incentive for Arteta to go, especially because there's not that kind of ticking time bomb on management, where with football, I think one thing footballers don't ever get enough consideration for is their career's probably 15 years, if you're lucky. That's 18 to 33. Yeah. Now, the very best might do 21. Sorry. The very best might do 18 to 35, 36.
Yeah.
And then standard will be playing at a good level. And even if you're a very good player, 21 to 31, maybe. So
yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, 10 years. Yeah.
So with managers, you don't have that same pressure. I mean, Arteta could easily be the Barcelona manager in 15, 20 years' time.
He's got a lot of time ahead of him. Very young manager. So,
How old is he? 41, 40? Mikel Arteta age is what we're going to Google.
Let's find out.
Let's have a little look.
Someone said Barca won't give him the 2 years like Arsenal did, and that's the thing. You know, it depends on whether these clubs will.
He's 40. He's incredibly young for a manager.
Very young.
Pep. Let's have a little look at Pep. Why am I doing this? Whatever. This is what Thursday nights have become.
Pepe's 39 and on the bench for Portugal at the World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him on the bench. I was thinking, what's going on here?
Pep Guardiola is 51. He's got 11 years on him. Jurgen Klopp, age 55. Okay. 10 years, Arteta will be winning the Premier League. Perfect. I just don't.
I don't think there's nothing to worry about there, man.
In my opinion, Arteta would want to finish his project at Arsenal, says Frank Gunner. People love their process now. Every big club has just started to do some house cleaning recently, says that is good spirit. I 100% believe that Arsenal are becoming trendsetters and that people are starting to go, ooh, we like the sound of our own project. And other clubs in the past have tried them, but they've not really wanted to fully give the manager everything they want and need, and maybe not fully believed in who they've got, and maybe the pressure to actually deliver sooner is too great and all that. Maybe a couple of years out of Europe actually doesn't do them any good. But Arsenal have done it, and now you've got the likes of, Todd Bowley bringing in a Graham Potter, talking about processes, blah, blah. And I honestly think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that.
United Ten Hag, you'd argue that that's a process now as well.
100%.
So 100% you're going to see more of that because football's changing, it swings and roundabouts. So you go through different eras and different phases and whatnot. And we've gone through that phase where it seemed like chopping and change. And I'm not talking about us, Arsenal. I mean, we in football have gone through a phase where managers will chop and change till they find success. And when they find success, if it isn't maintained, chop and change again. There's not really been much loyalty there. And I get that. There isn't much loyalty in football anyway, even back in the day. So that not much has changed there. But yeah, listen, it is what it is. I think in terms of Mikel Arteta and Barcelona, I think we shouldn't be worried.
No, me neither. Arteta has no Champions League experience as a manager. Why would Barcelona want him right now? Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. Maybe they want to see a little bit more of him. But listen, I think there's no doubt that Arteta is really changing minds in terms of...
Well, Xavi didn't have Champions League experience as a manager and they got him in, no?
That's why I love my streams with Turkish. Right, final bit of news of the day is the Juventus friendly.
Oh, yeah.
That's been confirmed for the day before the World Cup final. I think it's a 6 p.m. kickoff at the Emirates.
Okay.
Let me just double check the details while we're talking about it. But Arsenal they've managed to secure themselves some real tests on their return. And listen, I mean, I guess that's kind of what you want, really. You don't want to be kind of just pissing around, really, before you get back to it, and suddenly next thing you know, you've got a really tough Premier League match that you've got to just fly straight into.
That makes sense.
So what have we got? Here we go. So Arsenal versus Lyon, 8th of December. That soon?
Yep. When is that?
It's like 10 days away.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 10 days is maybe an exaggeration. It's about 2 weeks.
2 weeks today.
2 weeks today.
2 weeks today.
2 weeks today, they'll be back. Wow. I miss them. Dubai Super Cup. Okay. Also in the Dubai Super Cup, AC Milan. That takes place on the Tuesday. This is a good 5, 6 days after. 5 days after.
Yeah.
And then 4 days after that, Juve. Oh my God! And then 9 days later, we're back.
Yeah, with the World Cup players coming back.
Thick and fast, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice set of friendlies for sure. Lyon, AC Milan, Juventus.
Yeah, good level.
Yeah, Lacazette to haunt us in Dubai with a hat trick.
It's just about match fitness. I don't care about the results. Just get them ready for that West Ham game and we move.
No, but we all say that, and then you look back at the preseason we had, and then you realise that winning mentality and all that. Like, I don't think we could have had a shoddy pre-season and then started the league the way we have.
No, but then again, the pre-season had all of our main players there. This one won't. We won't have Partey. We won't have Jesus. We won't have Saliba.
Speaking
Saka,
of,
so on.
They kick off any second, so we are going to end the stream because we know you're all going to watch Martinelli, but Jesus isn't starting, nor Martinelli. But hopefully they get some minutes. So
hopefully, I don't really care too much.
We're going to go watch.
For their happiness, hopefully they come on and do something.
We're going to go watch that now, guys. We know you are too. If you enjoy this, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to AFTV. Check out a load of content that is coming out. Some is out already, like the Invincibles podcast. More to come. A new Buyers Premier League show, Supporters Club, and a little show that we're actually about to film now. I know we said we're watching the Brazil game. We're going to film a little show that you get to enjoy over the weekend. So we'll see you very soon. Thanks for joining us.
Love.